Right, and here we are. Hello, everybody. This is Mack, and we're joined by Ulf and Mike from the Volstec Project. And this evening's stream is going to be about culture versus religion. And the man that's going to give you a little brief description of what we should sort of be approaching on this subject itself is Ulf. Go ahead.
Yeah, cheers, bro. So basically, I want to look at whether culture and religion can actually be seen as the same thing or something entirely different, and then we'll have a look at how it was seen through the migratory period and through the Viking era, and then into contemporary society, pretty much. I mean, we don't often like to touch on things like universalism and folkish and so on and so forth, but it's a good topic, I think, and
I agree.
there's a lot to learn from looking at it, especially when we look at a lot of issues going on with today and heathenism today. um,
It's becoming a little bit diluted, and I feel like a lot of people this sort of day and age are becoming more argumentative than trying to take both points into account and formulating their own sort of understanding of it instead of going my way or I'm not gonna go down that way, but yeah, the people that dictate to you opposed to you don't grow knowledge that way. If you think you know everything, you're never gonna learn anything.
Exactly. The sort of them types who are cemented into a view because they've been told that's how they have to think, rather than looking at the situation and the data and analysing it for themselves and making their own opinion up,
Hmm.
essentially. I mean, Mike had a pretty good response to the post we had earlier.
You did.
Um,
Do you want to elaborate
I'm
on it,
just,
Mike? Just give us a
yeah,
sort
I'm
of
just reading through it. So go on, Mike. Fill us
On
in,
the
bro.
post that
yeah.
on the post that I did earlier. Let me try to find it real quick.
It's all right. I'm posting this live on AHO and Twitter quickly, so it's no rush.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think it's. And what I was saying in the post on AHO and everything was, I think one thing that people tend to disregard, or whether intentionally or not, I don't think it's intentional nine times out of 10. I think it's everyone's just so focused on their own perspective of what they think everything is all about, that they forget that to our people that native European spirituality is a native folkway. So, and just like any other folkway on the planet, our music, art, culture, history, all of that is completely inseparable from our quote unquote religion or spirituality. And that's the point that I was making, was as a folkway, all of these things are together. It's not one thing or the other. It's all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with that. I think.
I mean,
Go on.
sorry, go on, bro.
I was just going to say, but how do you deter people from actually bringing them in together and clashing? Because, like for example, with us, especially inside our group, it's very political. If you bring anything like universalism or tribalism or folkism, it just goes mental. So how can you stop that? How do you prevent that?
Basically, what you do is you kind of set the ground rule, like how y'all have. Leave the politics at the door. You call things out for what they are. For example, getting into political debates about universalism and everything like that. Universalism, the universalist concepts is very Christian derived. If you stick to the actual history, anthropology, archaeology, if you stick to the sciences that founds all of our beliefs, because I mean that's where we're getting a lot of this reconstruction from, is we're reconstructing it from evidence that we found in the past. So if you actually stick to the sciences and not a political ideology, you're going to nip a lot of that argument in the bud, because you're dealing more with facts than you are with beliefs.
Yeah, and it's such a tough one because of uh, how sparse the information available to us is. Do you know what I mean? Without no one can factually say they're correct. So a lot of it is speculation based, and any information we do
Recreation,
have
isn't it?
was, yeah, that's it. That's what I'm looking for. That's the trouble with people trying to change things that perhaps suit their lifestyles, which in actual fact is dishonouring the reason behind the religion itself, or faith, or
That's
spirituality.
sorry, bro. That's the UPG, isn't it? Fucking hell.
Unverified personal gnosis, yes.
Yeah.
The what?
That's where it's basically where you take a set of religious beliefs and twist it to fit your own worldview, and then push it out as being real.
And what's that called?
So UPG.
Well,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
That's crazy.
UPG. It's unverified personal gnosis, and basically what it is basically what this is it's kind of looked at as being a very, very bad phenomenon, but it's actually very natural. Okay, anywhere where the facts start getting fuzzy, we automatically fill those facts in with beliefs. Okay, we automatically do that. Every one of us, you're guilty of it, I'm guilty of it. Every single person who has ever believed in something is guilty of it. The problem is when you're trying to pass off UPG, your own personal feelings on the matter, as a universal truth or a universal fact. That's where it becomes a problem. You'll always hear me say, you know what, I can't substantiate this through history. I believe it was this way. Meaning, you're free to develop your own beliefs. You're free to develop your own personal gnosis, as I have done.
Can I interrupt 2 seconds and
Yeah,
just give an example of where I've seen this come into it? Well, I rock a beard, right? But and I served in the military like you lot did, and all that sort of stuff. But at the minute, I'm seeing a lot of people in the forces using Asatru as a
Shit,
belief
100%.
basis to wear a beard. Like, what?
100%.
Come
Yeah.
on. And
100%.
that's just one example that I literally just plucked out the air there. You're changing the religion so that you can rock a beard and look operator as fuck in your fucking ball signals shit. Nah, come on.
I would look UKSF, so yeah, I'll grow a beard
Yeah.
and fuck you.
Yeah, that's it. It's just mental. But yeah, that was just one example of it. And although I admit we all
Well, in
bend
fairness,
truths,
the Nine
but
Noble Virtues
yeah.
are UPG as well.
Absolutely.
The only difference is they're quite well known because they've been around for what, 40 years.
Yeah. And I've been on both sides of this conversation with the Nine Noble Virtues. Nine Noble Virtues were codified in 1971 or 1972 by a organization that is responsible for making the Odinic Rite here in the United States right now. Okay,
I'll just jump in there and say there's actually a bit of confusion, isn't it? Because there's a couple of different groups and different people who've claimed that they've invented the Nine Noble Virtues. I can't think of the names right now, but I mentioned it in group in another post. There's a couple of different people. I mean, there was the guy who there was 2 dudes who were stemmed from UK and one of the National Socialist parties, and then there was a different dude who sprung with similar ideas, and there's been a lot of fucking jumping and toing and throwing between who came up with the ideas of the Nine Noble Virtues.
Okay. The popular story, I have no way of proving which one's right, which one's false. I don't think we ever will have. But the popular story going around in the United States on my side of everything is that they were codified for the purpose of establishing Asatru as a religion in the United States. If you look at the United States website for establishing a religion, one of the first questions it asks you is, do you have a codified dogma? There has to be one present. Even though our religion doesn't have one, there has to be one present to be able to establish as a religion. So they codified, they claim to have codified the Nine Noble Virtues based on a simplified version of the Hopper Mall. Okay, so are they a modern construction? Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
They are a modern construction that what could arguably whatever side you're on of the argument you're on, you can make a strong argument on whether they were needed or whether they weren't needed. Did they do more harm to our community? You can make all those arguments all you want, but the fact is they are a modern construction.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Is anyone actually trying to say that they came from back when, or is?
Um,
Because I've not actually heard anyone go, oh, these are the words of Odin himself.
right. I have a very vivid image in my mind in a minute, and I think it came from a guy called. Just give me a second to search for him in the group. What the fuck's he called? Give me 1 second because he posted something. The fucking keyboard's not working. Amazing. Oh, fuck off.
Yeah. So the point you're
Fucking
getting
bossy.
at.
There's a guy who posted in group Nathan something or other, and he posted a text from a few hundred years ago that indicated the nine noble virtues, where
Okay.
they had something similar in historic. They had some sort of precedence, essentially. I can't find him, and that's really fucking annoying me.
Don't
And
worry about it.
I've not been able to Google anything about it because I've been looking for it for quite a while myself. But he mentioned a specific text from one of the editors where they had, I think it was eight traits listed, not 9, and he put forward the argument that the 9 noble virtues actually had an historic basis, and I've not been able to find anything about that since.
Oh, well, that's something we could definitely do another podcast on, because that's definitely
I mean,
interesting.
my view on the 9 noble virtues, I make that quite obvious to everyone. My views about that.
You love them.
But if I do, they make my world give me sunshine and rainbows.
I don't
and
think they're
shit.
bad. I think for what they are, I think there's not a problem there. I think falsifying its history is, but I don't
Definitely.
think they're bad.
It's like a
morals to live
introductory
Right.
thing, really. It's
Right, and if you do subscribe to the 9 noble virtues, or if there's some sort of mantra to help guide you in your life, I don't think you're going to do bad doing it. Just
Nope.
you have to be intellectually honest and say that they they didn't come from back in the time of our ancestors, that they are a modern construction. You just have to be honest and say that. I think I haven't personally run across anybody trying to say that they actually came from quote unquote Viking
No,
times.
I haven't.
But you do see memes floating around the internet with the background of a big Viking warrior in the background, and then on the forefront the 9 noble virtues. But it's kind of leading people to believe that these were a set of codified honors or a codified traits that we're all supposed to live by.
right. So I won't say his full name, Nathaniel. You know who you are. If you listen to this, man, drop the link that you did last year about the 9 noble virtues.
Yeah, that'd be great, please. Thank you.
Because I'd like to read that again. I wish I'd have saved it, but I didn't hoard it. Quite annoyingly.
Now, out of curiosity, I'm wondering if he does post the link. Out of curiosity, I'm wondering if how closely they come to the, what are they called? The 8. They basically derived from Greek Stoicism, from different Greek philosophers and stuff like that. Some people are trying to take this way of thinking, the Stoicism and everything like that, and project it into tribal heathenry. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I don't really have an opinion on that. Like I said, you tend to fill in the blanks any way you can when you have a question about a specific thing. But I'm wondering how close those 9 noble virtues that he comes out with are relative to the 8 ways of thinking by the Stoicism.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
maybe.
that was two examples there where people sort of bought into it. I'm not overly fussed, but I just don't like when people try to fluff it up, to suit their agendas and stuff like that. It is what it is. You either believe in it or you don't. There's no real middle ground. It's not, oh, I've watched an episode of Vikings, get me one of those Mjolnirs, and then I'm going to buy that, build it yourself hammer mount. No, come on.
Well, I think that's where the stoicism comes into it. You see Vikings and you see a bunch of dudes who are actually farmers and blacksmiths, and they're not actually standing army, they're not military trained, but they go off and kick the shit out of fucking standing armies. And that's where the whole stoicism thing comes in, because you don't show weakness and you don't show fear and so on and so forth or whatever.
Yeah.
When I'm sorry, I just got distracted reading then. When you should just actually just live your life and fuck it. I've never been in combat. You have, so I can't actually really say this, but I'm pretty sure everyone throughout history who's been in war has thought at some point, fucking hell, what's going on here? It's like shit. Bro, it's like the whole stoicism thing's brilliant. I can look like a tough ass, the big.
But
I can
that's
look like a
falling
fucking
in line
badass,
with
but-
fight or flight, though, isn't it, as well? So.
Well, control, that's training to fight or flight. You can control your fight or flight through training and
They
muscle
say,
memory.
yeah, they
And
say
so on
you
and so
can,
forth.
but I
But
think,
again,
yeah, it doesn't always come down to that. Anyway, we're off track. Culture and religion. So what other avenues have you experienced this?
I mean, I did a little bit of research earlier, and what I did come across was some interesting articles by some dickhead called Jennifer Snook and some knobhead called Horrell and some knobhead called Horton, who are actually trying to push a false narrative of, I'm putting air quotes up now, symbolic racism around heathenism, against heathens, literally because a lot of heathens are self-inclusive. We look for symbolically meaningful ways that we can distinguish ourselves from others, and essentially what these academics, again in air quotes, have come up with is that heathens are racist because we are white European ancestry, in the most part. But I'll put this out now, that with HO, that we don't limit to white people. Heathens are anyone who wants to be. I don't believe in this. I'm just pointing out that this academic article is nonsense. They're basically saying that the racial and ethnic exclusivity that apparently all heathens have is right. Basically, yeah. I'm going on a tangent there. I'm going to stop myself.
No, you're all right. What's your view on it, Mike?
Okay. The number one way to combat any of those arguments is very simple. So, okay. Either you're willing to recognize that all native folkways are racist, such as the Chinese Han, the Japanese Shinto, the Hindus, all of these native folkways, the South American mountain people, all these different people that have a native tribal belief, either they're all racist or...
Oh, no one is.
Yeah. Either they're all racist, as Native Europeans are all racist. You're either going to make that point, which I think is ludicrous to even try to think to make that point, or the only other point is you're in fact racist for saying that Native Europeans are the only ones on the face of the earth that don't have or their own native beliefs.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean,
it's
sorry.
It's really okay. Go ahead.
Sorry, Mike. You're on one thing. Go on, bro.
Oh, it's okay. I was just going to say it literally is that easy to combat that argument because it's ludicrous to say that all these different cultures are independently racist towards everyone outside of them. So the only deduction is to make the argument that only Europeans are racist for having a native culture and a native folkways, and that's just as that's in itself racism. So.
Well, I actually 100% agree with that.
Can I interrupt for 2
Sorry,
seconds?
go on, bro.
So we've been asked a question by David
Ooh.
Silva, and he is saying, could you explain the difference between heathenism, Asatru, and Odinism?
Oh shit.
Who wants that?
I'll take it if you don't mind.
Yeah, go.
Yep.
Okay. Asatru, Odinism, Rokatru, all these things, they are organizational ways of thinking. They are religions. Okay. Heathenry is a native spirituality. Okay. It doesn't necessarily mean that we associate it with people because the word heathen is Germanic in origin. We associate it with European spiritualities, spiritual folkways, but in reality, heathenry can be from any continent, any religion that is animist in its roots, and has ancestral veneration. All the key components of heathenry, all of those can be considered heathen, whether they have the Norse pantheon or not. So the real contrast is Asatru. I can literally take an entire hour describing all the differences between Asatru, Odinism, and all I can say is if y'all are okay with me plugging a video from someone that's completely unrelated.
Plug.
Yes, Arif Harger. He has a wonderful. Now, I do have to say, I do not know the man personally. He does not. My opinions are my opinions. His are his own. We do not know the guy. We have nothing to do with him. I like his videos. Yes. So he has a video called Tribalism. If you just do a quick YouTube search for Arif Harger on his video on tribalism, he spends an entire hour going through all the different ways that heathenry is different than Asatru and Odinism and all that.
I mean, just follow on from what you said there, right? I agree with basically 90% of it. All I'm going to say is like a Odinist Asatru, essentially their own tribe in their own right, because they've got their own belief systems, they've got their own the way of doing shit, they've got their own
that's
but
like
the base of it all, they're all they're animistic in the basis of that from the heathen point of view. They all share that same basal level of what we understand as being our faith, but they have their own ways of interpreting it and showing it, and their own belief systems and structures.
Okay.
That's how I'd see it, but
we're gonna have to cut it short here. So we've got a question from Excalibur 45. And David Silver. David Silver says, "Awesome, thank you. Much love, David, or David, however you want to be. It depends which part of the land you're on." Right, we have it from Excalibur 45, and he says, "Could they be similar to comparing Catholics and Protestants in Christianity?" Ooh.
Oh,
who wants that one? Go on,
Mike. Sure, why not? I honestly, you could make that comparison, even though I don't think we should make that comparison because of Catholicism and Protestantism. They all have their own certain set of dogma. They have their dogma that's attached to their religion, and of course, heathenry or Asatru and all that. We don't have dogma. What I think. Each individual sect of Asatru or heathenry or whatever, I think what they do have instead of dogma is orthodoxy. They do have their own specific orthodoxies that belong to that certain subgroup. So in that way, I think that you could make the argument that they're similar. But like I said, I don't think I would suggest making that argument, but you could absolutely.
I would say that personally, I'd say they're only similar in principle. I wouldn't say that folkish or tribalists or Odinists, if you put them all in a big room, would end up fighting. But I think if you put Protestants and Catholics in the same room, you would end up fighting. So there's that different sort of interaction between groups. So the similarities end on in name for me. I couldn't really. I wouldn't want to say they're more similar than that. What about you then? Ulf?
Yeah. That's like a.
It's a hard one,
It's
isn't
like
it?
asking, do you want the UK or the Irish winning?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, brilliant. I think we can't actually compare the two because there's been actual no wars between the different sects of
Yeah, that's what I'm
heathenism,
getting at. Yeah.
whereas with Protestants and Catholics, there's been a shit ton of fucking horrendous crap gone on. But with different types, in air quotes, of Germanic paganism, Asatru, and so on and so forth, there's actually been no sort of well, there's been no wars, there's been no fighting. It's just bickering
Not
online.
right.
So
There has been fight, but what we're saying is not for religious belief. They've not gone there and gone, oh, we're Odinists and we're Asatru, let's fight. No, opposed to the Christianity, Church of England, all those sort of things have. So that's what.
well, exactly. Yeah. There's been no aggression. It's just been online shit. Whereas with Christianity and Church of England and whatever, there has been actual conflicts
Yep.
and so on, and there's no way to compare the two because we've never actually been in that situation. That's basically my point.
Yeah, that's the truth of the matter. Yeah, you're 100% right. Let's say, I hope that answers your question. Excalibur 5. So yeah. So I mean, you could talk all night about culture and religion. I mean, if you if you're tribal and you accept someone of another culture into your tribe, then you're going to have to cater essentially for that person, and it's a really hard one. I don't agree with the whites only and all that supremacist bollocks. Ain't my style, never has been. I've served with all colours in race creeds, but yeah, I would definitely distance myself from that. But then I do think I wouldn't just let you in to my tribe. It would have to be on the basis of respect or your character. If you're a good guy, you can normally pick up if someone's a good bloke. Like we've spoke to Mike from the Folkstead Project 3 times, and we're all like best mates already. So you can tell who the good people are and who the bad people are. So yeah, I hope didn't sort of lose you there.
No, I'm here.
Yeah. So yeah,
Bit needy
that's
there,
it.
bro. Fucking hell.
A bit what?
A bit needy.
Needy? In what way?
Needy. It's like, yeah, we're best mates. She's bought 3 times.
That's not what needy means, you mad bastard. You need to pour yourself another drink. A needy would be if Mike left this conversation now and me spend the next 10 minutes ringing him. That's what needy is. I'm saying you can judge a person pretty much on the dot. If you look at a person and they come up to you and talk shit to you, you're not going to go, "Oh fuck me, he's a nice bloke." Oh yeah. So I hope that sort of puts my point across. Probably not. Love it. And that's why we do these podcasts, because we're all a bit mental. Everyone.
Oh yeah, like I said, man. What was it? Our first or second one? That if we don't sound like just a bunch of heathens sitting around a bonfire drinking beer, then we're not doing podcasting right.
Exactly.
True.
So okay, so let's try and go elaborate on it. So culture and religion. It's such a shit thing to try and bring together. Oh man.
Well, I think the way I was thinking is that if you look back a couple of thousand years, then you have a a group of people who have a specific set of religious beliefs, and then you've got another set of people who have another set of specific religious beliefs who are essentially in the same country because way back then it was all very tribal. So the religion was essentially cultural because their entire culture was based around their religious understandings. You had a lawmaker, you had a religious leader, and so on and so forth. And everything that happened was around I don't want to say dogma, but around the concept of the religion, i.e., the war and the law, and everything else was based around that. But then you look at today, where you've got religion and then you've got culture, and they are so very, very different from what it used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, the prime example is looking at how we're treated on Facebook and in general. We're a religion, but we get fucked on Facebook, we get fucked in the army, we get fucked in the country, we get fucked
Persecution.
everywhere. Persecution, essentially, yeah.
All right,
But-
just to 2 seconds. This could be a quick fire one out. We've got 2 questions, just gone bang bang. So the first one is from David Silver. Do you have any book recommendations? Okay, David, is that in recommendations because you're new to Asatru or heathenism in general, or because you want a culture and versus religion aspect on books? Just elaborate further on that if you can. Next one is Excalibur 4-5. What would Berserker's religion be? Thinking about the crazy guy in Vikings. Oh, there we go. As this becoming more popular because of this show seems fitting to bring up. Okay, let me just throw one thing in here. I'm not bashing Vikings. I watched Vikings. I love Vikings, but I didn't finish watching it and then decide, I'm going to go and get some tattoos, shave my head, grow a beard, and then fuck around with bears in the snow. I'm just saying, I did enjoy it, and I do like it, so I'm not bashing it. But don't take any of it as gospel. It's like loosely in that term following history.
It's entertainment.
And that's it. If you watch it as entertainment, that's great. But just because you saw Berserker and Vikings,
Yeah.
doesn't mean that
If
they
you,
Right.
like that.
if you go out
Take
and
it from an
base your life
American.
around a film, you got
Yeah.
more problems. Fucking hell.
And take it from an American. If you're going to look at the history of the Viking Age versus everything like that, if you're going to look through that through the lens of a TV show, go with the Bernard Cornwell books and the Last Kingdom series on BBC. That's much better than Vikings, anyways. But
I don't know. I think historically it is, but I just could never get on with the main character of Last Kingdom.
Yeah.
Who would you rather lead you into a raid, Ragnar or that whatever his name is? That's how good he is. I don't even know what his name is.
Yeah, I just want to fuck Helga. So, Floki's wife, I just want to fuck Helga. I don't give a shit about the rest of it. So, whatever.
Wow. Well, there you go.
So,
That's just gone
real
PG.
quick.
Yep. I'll nail her, then I'll go take over Paris and a tribe or two and whatever. So yeah. Job's
Right.
up.
Anyway, relating back to the books, if you are going on about the books, there's a couple that I normally keep on just to throw out. Obviously, the first one I would say go out and buy is the Hammer. After that, I'd say Eddas and the Sagas. Just go off them, and then if you want to start going down, you've got the Road to Hell, Gods and Myths, even that Neil Gaiman's new one. It's just stuff like that.
The gods thing, yeah.
Yeah. I think
It's not a bad book.
I think they're all good things to sort of look out. Oh, okay. Hence the quotes. Haha. Yeah, shut up, you virgin. I'm only joking. Ragnar Lothbrok saga. Any other saga that would be cool to have as a show? Boom. The Sigurd saga. Without a doubt. For me, that would be incredible if they could go there. Or any of the Vendor periods. But yeah, what about you then, Mark? What do you have?
Wait, I just need to try and pronounce this fucking word. Wait on. It's got weird fucking letters in it.
Runes.
Yes, runes, because that's how Google works. Fucking hell, I'll Google a name of a saga and it gives me runes. Fucking hell. It's the saga about the Ufednar and the origin of the Hufedin. I don't know what that fucking stupid deal with the cross on it means. Guthmundur or
Oh,
something.
Guthrum. You on about Guthrum, the one who turned Danelaw into Christianity? He basically converted under Alfred.
The Ulfadin. Yeah.
What?
The Ulfadin. The origin
No,
of
no,
the,
I know what you're on about. But what are you going on about?
Oh, fucking hell, that saga. Jesus fucking Christ.
All right, well, let's get to the next question because he's lost it. But if we were going to go for people, I'd 100% go for Sigurd, without a doubt. Just because I think he has probably one of the best deaths ever. What about you, Mike?
As far as books go, I'm going to list off a couple of books real quick, and I'd like to go back and discuss that the Berserker guy, if you don't mind. But book I'd like to suggest is the Heathen Handbook by my friends over at the Woden's Kindred. That's available on Amazon, and the reason why I suggest that book for any beginner is because it starts off with a brief history of the migration period. Starts off there, and it goes into societal concepts like laws and thews and grith and frith and all that. Gets you a basic understanding of all that. Then it progressively moves into a general understanding of each of the main gods and goddesses, and then into ritual and why ritual is important, and community. So it's a very well written book from a tribal perspective, and it incorporates a lot of first world sources, or primary source material. So that's the book that I would recommend above anything else to start off with. Obviously, don't stop there. Go into the sagas, go into the Eddas like everyone else has suggested. Don't stop there, but a great place to start for the brand new budding heathen is the Heathen Handbook by Woden's Kindred.
If you want, Mike, send it across to me later on our group, and I'll add it to the description. So you'll be able to find the link.
Absolutely. That sounds great, man. I appreciate that. And going back to the other gentleman's question about berserkers. Now, he asked the question, what would the religion of the berserkers be? And that ties into this episode perfectly. Because the religion of the berserkers is actually heathenry, okay? But there are specific cult in heathenry. They belong to the bear cult. The word berserker, going back to Old Norse, meant bear skins, people of the bear skin tribe or whatever. And they were a warrior shaman cult that actually venerated the bear figure. They invoked the power and energy of the bear as a part of their spiritual practices, and that's what was supposedly made them so fierce and strong as warriors. So that's one of the originating cults out of animistic nature worship that has stuck around in modern heathen practices today.
Nice. Good answer. Do you want to elaborate on the Ulfadin?
No, that's fine.
All right, yeah. So, I mean, that was a great answer. Here we go. We've got another question or a response. That's a great insight into them. Thank you. That's the mic then, yeah. We could use this as a plug-in moment, seeing that we just sort of put it out there. So, if anyone's interested on hearing or seeing more of Mike, you can head over to either his Facebook group, which is the Folkstead. What's it? The Folkstead group, is it, or?
The Folkstead Project.
My bad. Sorry. Yeah, the Folkstead
That's
Project.
Okay.
And then you can catch him. Just you plug it. Throw your stuff out.
The Folkstead Project on Facebook. We are on Facebook, and we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All that. We are working on getting a website. The name for the website is going to be Folkstead, as in the Middle English spelling of stead, STED. Kind of paying homage to the Middle English part of my ancestry. But anyways, we talk about all these discussions. We talk about tribal heathenry and tribalism in general, and how to relate it to heathenry. One of the posts that I just came up with was looking at here in America different different communities. Like we have Chinatown in New York City, or we have Dearborn, Michigan. We have different immigrant communities here in the United States, and I kind of looked at that as an excellent way of giving an example of tribalism in the modern world. So that's kind of stuff that you'll see at the Folkstead Project, going more in depth over there. So yeah.
Nice. All right then. So what we'll do then is, wait there. I'm actually following for at least 2 weeks now. Oh, nice. So you're very, very new. So yeah, I would basically go with Mike's iterations, and ensure that you go for the Havermouth. Any more questions, David? Send them across. Excalibur 45. What monument would you like to visit from Norse times?
Oh shit.
Man. Would you mean like a monument that's put up, like? Because I'm not really sure. Or are you talking about idol statues, or do you mean a moment in time, like a period like between the 7 and 900s? Just do me a favour, elaborate on that.
No, I hope he's talking about an actual monument, not a period of time, because I honestly don't think my modern comfort-loving big fat ass would hate to go back in time. I don't think I'd survive in our ancestors' days.
Okay. So like Stonehenge or idol. Okay. Who wants to answer that one first?
The Battle of Hatsfjord, the 3 10-meter tall bronze swords.
Oh, without doubt, I'd love to go there. Yeah, Svet. Is it Svetveld? I can't remember now.
But I don't even know how to pronounce that fucking word. Hasfjord, has something, I don't know. But the big fucking 10-meter tall bronze swords. Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, nice.
I'll have a couple of swords buried like 20 meters high when I die, I think.
All right.
Yeah. By my loyal compatriots, you know.
What about you, Mike? Have you got any?
All of them.
Yeah.
I actually want to go take a tour through Sweden. My first stop. I want to go to the old Temple of Uppsala in
shit.
Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to go look at those ruins. Those ruins. Sorry. And all that. I want to go and look at the ruins of old grave mounds. I'm straight up cult of the dead. I love the reverence of ancestry and taking care of our loved ones after they've passed. So I'm really, really big into cult of the dead. So I'd love to go visit grave mounds. Yeah.
So I've got a question then, Mike.
Yeah.
What do you see Valhalla as? Is it a kenning for a foreign war grave, or is it a place for warriors?
You're going to get me in a lot of trouble with that question, bud, because my heart and soul tells me, even though you can see it in the Eddas and all that, the concept of Valhalla and its reverence for being like the good boys and girls of all heathens, they go to Valhalla. I think that's all very Christian derived. I don't necessarily, and this is me personally, I don't necessarily buy into the whole afterlife being completely different than here on Earth aspect. Because what that does, in my opinion, once again, my opinion, this is my own, personal gnosis, is when you draw a distinctive line between the life and afterlife, you unintentionally draw a line between the divine and the mundane. And when you're talking about things from an animist perspective, especially things like afterlife, you have to realize that everything is sacred, that everything is divine, and there's no barrier up between the divine and us. So being cult of the dead and everything like that, I personally, I hold more stock in the beliefs of land spirits, tomb spirits, the different. That's where I honestly think our spirits go. I fully believe that I'll be a mound dweller for my descendants to come and ask me questions and visit me and pay reverence to me and all that.
That's amazing.
So I don't really have I really don't have an opinion on Valhalla. I just try to stay away from the topic.
Ooh-wee. I have to completely disagree with you, brother. I have to completely
Okay.
disagree. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in the whole principle behind Valhalla. Where I differ is I don't think I think you're very much decided upon Valkyries, whether you end up at Valhalla or end up at
Or
Freya's.
Folkvanger.
Yeah,
Oh,
Folkvanger, yeah. But
yeah.
for me, especially as a military guy, it was something that really empowered me to go forth. I never really had much fear after that, although fear is a good thing. But when you're still in compounds or doing heli strikes, whatever, excuse me, you ain't too bothered. And then when you lose things, I felt like it comforted me more as well, knowing that they're in Valhalla. Maybe it's just a selfish thing, because this is my opinion at the end of the day. But that's where I'd like
So-
to think they'll go. But
So is Valhalla then more of a concept for your friends and your family that are still here when you go,
I
and
think
you go wherever you go, but
think
Valhalla
it
is
works.
a concept for essentially
Well, you're going
giving
in line
homage
with
to your
Mike
family.
then. You're going more in line with the sort of the Christianized bit of it then, because you're fluffing up something if you're trying to put. Okay, let me put it in simplistic terms. Someone dies, people get upset. But if you could change that upset into an honor or a valor approach to it, that he ended up still fighting in Valhalla, then yeah, absolutely, I think it is that case. But it's not. There's no shame in wanting to go to a place where you fight every day. Well, if you're a warrior, where you fight every day, you die, you eat, you get shit faced, then you're back at it in the morning. If anyone asked me if I wanted to go back to Iraq or Afghan, fuck yeah, I'd be gone. But that's my mentality. I'm not saying that Mike's is wrong. Absolutely, to be honest with you, it intrigues me. But I'm very much one of the Valhalla bros in this case.
And you know what, man? I think the first three words that came out of your mouth when you disagreed with me, it really sets the tone for this entire conversation. Is you didn't say, Mike, I think you're wrong. You said, I wholeheartedly disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. You're allowed to disagree with me. I'm allowed to disagree with you, as I do on our views. We have conflicting views on what Valhalla is and what the afterlife is and all that. Okay, that's okay. We can have this conversation and we can still be friends.
We wouldn't
Okay,
be a good
that's
Heathens United if we fell out over our first live discussion. Yeah, you know what, Mike? Not really feeling this one, mate. Yeah, over to you, Heath, and that's it. Player has left. No, but you're absolutely right, Mike, and I think that's 100% what I agree with, and it just goes to show that you haven't got to scream at each other or start bench pressing trees, and I don't know. It's so much easier just to go, your view's alright, my view's alright. If you don't like it, fuck it. It's still my view at the end of the day, and it's still gonna be your view at the end of the day. Chin up, fella. That's it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, really well behaved by not saying something now, so I'll text you.
All right. But yeah, I think that's it. If you can take anything away from these podcasts, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. You American guys, I've obviously met a lot of American people in my time, but you
How many shot
Americans
you?
get
Oh,
a you Americans get a rough time of it from the community, because a lot of people felt like America watched an episode of Vikings were like, fuck yeah, that's ours now. Do you know what I mean? Them motherfuckers mentioned Vinland, that's ours now. But you've done just for your life, without doubt.
I just messaged what I was going to say, but I didn't want to say I should get trouble on air.
Yeah, don't say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think a credit to your tribe at Homestead, without doubt, and I enjoy our podcast. And if you're new to them, you can catch the 2 previous ones. We're on every 2 weeks. If Mike wants to make this a regular thing, he's more than welcome to join us. But yeah, I'm going to call it to an end now. We've just about hit the 50-minute point. So yeah, any closing notes from You guys?
My big takeaway from this is just keep y'all's minds open. Don't settle on one book, one source material. Study them all, read them all, read everything. Take different approaches. Listen to other opinions. Don't get mad. Just educate yourselves always. Odin was always in search of knowledge and wisdom, and we should be as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
Sounds
you?
good. All I'm going to say is essentially, based on the initial topic, is a tribe can encompass anyone who adheres to the belief systems of the tribe. So essentially, involve who you want in what you want to do and tell everyone else to get fucked.
Yeah. Okay. And then in summary, I'm going to finish this off on a nice, happy, glappy laugh. All right. You've got a birthday going on. It's your birthday, right? Yeah. Your friends are coming round. Your friends come round and start giving you presents. You're going, oh, this is a wonderful feeling. I'm getting all these presents from my friends. But then 10 other people come and you're like, oh, who are those 10 other people? Then 20 other people come into your party. Next thing, your mum's fucking vases are getting thrown across the house. Your dad's pints are getting smashed off the deck. That's what we're trying to say about tribal. We don't want those 20 cunts. Okay? We just want nice, happy, glappy people to come in, embrace what we do, and if you don't like it, as Mark said, fuck off. So yeah.
Yeah.
On that note, I'd like to bring it to an end. Don't forget, go over and give the Fuckstead Project on this platform previously mentioned much love. Also, help him on his petition and his fight against the, not going to mention them, but the people that are trying to sort of ban us from using the term heathen. So, yeah, head over there. So,
Yeah, let's
peace
see how
out.
that works out for him.
Yeah. Right, and peace out. Leave it.